Today I'm going to be talking all about my podcasting setup. I do have some very specific equipment, and I want to share it with you guys just in case you want to start a podcast. There's definitely some easier ways to do this, some cheaper ways to do this, but this is just my current setup, and I think it gives you the best bang for your buck, especially if you're trying to do like a professional podcast situation. So all of that coming up. What is up, beautiful people? TJ here with another episode. Today I'm going to be talking about my podcasting setup. Now, I have a different kind of a setup here because I don't have a studio. I don't have sound panels or anything like that. But I do have a lot of equipment that is very beneficial, especially if you are trying to start a podcast or if you do YouTube videos and you want to do voiceovers. And I even use this sometimes just for my videos. I can actually use the audio from the Rodecaster Pro and input it into my video, not necessarily input it into the video, but I can add it in as the audio from my video. So this right now, what you're hearing is the Rode Podcaster Pro, the Rode Pod Mic, and shooting, of course, on my Sony A7R3. And then I've got an overhead shot so you can kind of see what's going on here. Get that cable out of the way so you can't see it. All right, so let's just kind of dive into the situation that we got going on here. I'm gonna kind of go through some of the settings. I'm not gonna show you every little setting and every little thing because I don't necessarily know everything about this. I mean, every day that I use it, I find something out differently, but I'm gonna give you a basic overview of what this is. Also, I will put a link to all of this stuff in the description section below so you can kind of see what I got, what I'm using, and how you can get a hold of some of this stuff. So some of this stuff is kind of hard to get a hold to. I had to wait like 2 months for this. I had to wait like 3 months for this. So there's definitely a lot of people trying to get this equipment. So it may not necessarily be easy to get the equipment, but once you get it, 100% awesome. All right, so let's get going. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is the 1 through 4. So what the 1, 2, 3, 4 is on the Rode Podcaster Pro is your 4 microphone inputs. So it does have 4 XLR inputs that you can plug in microphones. The particular microphone that I'm using right now is the Rode Pod Mic. The best pod mic, in my opinion, to use with this system because they do have specific settings just for the pod mic. They also have settings for other Rode microphones you can use. And we'll talk about those when we get to them. But 1, 2, 3, and 4 is going to be your XLR inputs. So they have a button down here so where you can hear other microphones, or you can just hear your own microphone. So if you have guests, you can turn, their microphone on and also turn on their speaker so they can hear you, you can hear them. And then also, just the dials right here are going to be your levels. You can go up and down, testing. So you can just move your audio up and down. You can fade your audio in and out. You pretty much have control over everything that has to do with your audio. And especially if you're doing like a podcast, you don't want to be kind of fumbling around, and you want to hear what you're doing and what you're saying, because you don't want to, go through the whole podcast and then figure out that your audio is crap. So I've definitely done that with video, filmed the whole thing, and the audio was like not great, and anybody got time for that. So like I said, 1, 2, 3, and 4 is going to be your audio input. So let's go in before we do anything else, and we will look at some of the settings. All right, so when you go into the channels, you can see 1, 2, 3, and 4 is going to be your channels. And also the other inputs is going to be the USB, so you can hook it up to a USB-C. This is how I actually hook it up to my computer to do live streaming here on YouTube. So if you want to use this kind of setup, you can use it for a live stream. I'm going to make a separate video just about a live stream setup with this setup, also with StreamYard. So if you want to see that video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and you have those bell notifications clicked so you can get a notification whenever I put that video out. The next thing is the smartphone and the Bluetooth option. So smartphone is going to be exactly what it says. You can hook your smartphone up to like a 3.5 millimeter, and you can have the audio from your smartphone. The better way, obviously, is going to be Bluetooth, because you can just make a phone call. If you want to have a guest on, you can just do it through Bluetooth on your phone, so you can call them and then cue them in whenever, you know, they're ready to speak. So it's not necessarily like you got to go through and call and then they hear the phone ringing and all that stuff. You can actually just cue them in whenever you need them, and you can turn their audio on and off, and you have pretty much the same level of settings to make sure their audio kind of matches your audio. Now, their audio is not going to sound as good as this because this is a professional microphone. So the audio from the Bluetooth and the smartphone, and also the USB, is not going to sound as good as if they were in studio and they had their own microphone. All right, so if we go into channel 1, you have 3 settings here. You have your microphone. So this has presets for all of the microphone devices that you can use. You can use the Rode Pod mic, the Rode Podcaster, Rode Broadcaster, Rode NT1, NT1A, EVRE20, and then you can have a condenser microphone and a dynamic microphone. So I also have some cheaper options. So this right here is the newer, I don't know exactly what model it is. I put the model number, and I put all the stuff, like I said, in the description section below. But this newer microphone, I think, was like $30. It's pretty cheap, $25 or $30. So this one right here is the Rode Pod mic. It is $99. This is $25. So the sound of the audio may be a little bit different. Actually, I can give you a comparison just real quick so you can hear. So this is the audio from the newer. Definitely doesn't have as much bass and doesn't sound as good. And then this is the audio from the Rode Pod mic. So it has a little bit more full bass. Now, I've added a couple extra things in this one, but I can't get this one to sound as good as this one. Obviously, there's a price difference. So I'm going to do a full kind of comparison of these 2 microphones on a separate video. So be watching out for that. All right, the next thing is going to be your audio levels. So I try to keep my audio levels. They give you like a guideline here. So the guideline is basically telling you, hey, you want to stay within this range because that's what sounds good. You don't want to be clipping your audio. You don't want to be too loud or too soft. Now, this Rode Pod mic is just a little bit softer on the audio side. So sometimes in post, I have to kind of punch it up a little bit just because it is a particular sound that I like. So sometimes I have to go in and kind of punch it up. But when I'm doing my live streams, it's perfect. I don't have to do anything to it. It sounds really good. Sounds a lot better than my shotgun mic, or if I had on a lapel mic. Just in my personal opinion. So you can go right here, you can adjust your levels. This does not require phantom power. I believe the newer does require phantom power. So you do have a phantom power option if you need to turn it on or off, just to make your microphone sound like it's supposed to. All right, the next thing is the audio processing. I'm not going to go through all the audio processing features, but they do have a high pass filter, a noise gate, a de-esser, a compressor, and then they have some affix things, which is going to give you a big bottom, your big bottom settings, and your aerial exciter. So the big bottom is more so like the kind of the bassy tone. So if you want to make your voice sound like a late night, midnight audio person, you can do that. My voice is not as bassy as some other people's voices, but I do like the sound of the bassy kind of voice. So I kind of add a little bit more big bottom to sound a lot better, sound more like studio quality. Now, obviously, if I had sound panels in here and I was in like an enclosure, it would probably sound a lot better than what it was. I also have like a fish tank running in the background, and it's not completely quiet in this room, but the noise gate, it does a really good job of whenever you stop talking, it just is silent. So you see how it was just silence whenever. So what it does is when I'm not actively speaking, it'll cut the sound off. Now, if you don't have that adjusted right, what'll happen is if you kind of step away from the microphone a little bit, the audio will be a lot worse. So make sure you, kind of tweak those audio settings to what you need. So that is it for the inputs. There's a lot you can go in and adjust the stuff to your liking, to your sound and all that stuff. So I'm not gonna go into all the settings because I think you're gonna have to go in and tweak them around just to make the settings sound like what you want. My audio settings are gonna be a lot different than your audio settings, but you do have the option to go in there and kind of tweak things around. So that's it for the inputs. Like I said, you can have 4 guests, 4 microphones at the same time. They can also have their own headphone, their own audio. And then you can also have a USB connection. You can have a cell phone connection, and then you can also have a Bluetooth connection. So there's all these. There's 7 connections that you can have all at the same time simultaneously, which means that you can, I guess, theoretically have seven guests, which I don't know if you have 7 guests on a podcast. That'll probably be a little bit confusing, but I don't know. There's probably our podcast out there that has 7 people on it. All right. So the last thing I want to talk a little bit about is the little sound pad over here. So whenever you go to the sound pad settings, you have this little graphic right here. So it shows, it's got the 8 buttons, and then actually you have 2 banks of buttons. So you actually have 16 sounds that you can kind of go into and edit. So right now I have, my intro, my rejoin, and my outro. And the guy that does these intros and outros for me, he's super awesome. And he's on Fiverr. I will put his link down here because it's pretty dang good. I mean, it ain't nothing that's, it's nothing that I could have made. So I'm gonna give you a little snippet of what that sounds like.
Every morning, you have 2 choices. Continue to sleep with your dreams or wake up and chase them. Welcome to the Hustle Never Sleeps podcast, live from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Here's your host, TJ Lovelady.
All right, this is the podcast. So if you were making a podcast and then you have the intro come in, you can, just kind of slowly have that music kind of fading off in the background. And it's not just like a blunt end. Also, you can see at the top how long you have left on your audio. So like right now, I've only got 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's going to cut out. So that's it. So how long you've got. So if you're doing like music and you want to have music in your podcast, you definitely can program the music inside of these little sound pads over here. You can put in stuff like laughter. There's applause, that little thing, crickets. And then I just have my intro, outro, and then rejoin. So if I do a sponsored spot, I can, rejoin, come back in,
Welcome back to the Hustle Never Sleeps podcast.
And you can just rejoin back in. So it gives you a level of control where you don't have to stop and do anything. You can actually just go through and do your podcast. You don't have to add anything in post. You don't have to add in an intro or outro. You don't have to add in a rejoin. You can do everything from here. If you had a sponsored message, you can program that sponsor message in here, and you can just punch it, let the sponsor message come in, and then do a rejoin and come back in and then start your podcast. So it's really good for control. This is a really good, awesome control center. It has the preamps and everything. Some people have to add in some extra preamps for their pod mic. I like the way it sounds. I don't need anything extra for it. It sounds really good to me. So let me know in the comment section below if you like the way the audio sounds, because I just really like the way it sounds. So like I said, I will put links to everything in the description section below if you want to check this out. It's, like I said, been a game changer for me in terms of doing my podcast. So I'm going to set up the podcast on Anchor. So we're going to jump over to the computer. I'm going to show you how to start an Anchor account, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to get started.
All right, so the website you need to go to is anchor.fm, and then we'll just go in and we'll sign up and just literally click on sign up, put your name and your stuff in, and we'll come back and I'll show you exactly how to upload your first podcast. All right, so once you input your information, you literally only have to put your name, your email address in, and then it just takes you to the back end or the back office of the anchor.fm website. So these are the basic steps. You just have to make your first episode. So literally just recording it on your Roll Podcaster Pro, recording everything that you have, and then you can click on that, and that'll be your first episode, because all you're gonna do is upload that. So then you can go in and you can set up your podcast. You can get some cover art for that. I got my cover art through Fiverr. I just had somebody, a graphic designer, make it for me. If you don't have that, you can just go in and make one on Canva or something like that. But you will have to upload your cover art and then come up with the name for your podcast. Hopefully you think about that before you get to this point. And then you can choose your distribution for your podcast. So you can go through and, say you want on Spotify, you want on Apple Music, all the different places that you can do. And then you can set up your monetization. So basically the monetization is going to be people can donate to your podcast, and then you can also work with brands, and then they will pay you to do sponsor posts and stuff like that. Anchor actually allows you to create an ad for them for your first podcast, so you can go in and create that ad, and then you'll get paid basically on each run of the show. So each time that somebody listens to the show, and they hear that ad, you'll get paid a certain percentage, kind of like YouTube does. And then the next thing is you just have to get your listeners. So you put the podcast on here, you literally upload the audio, and I'm not sure if it'll show. Yeah, this show you. So this is what the basically the ins and outs of what it looks like. So right here, you can record directly to this. So if you wanted to, you can hook your Rode Podcaster system up to your computer and record straight to your browser, so you didn't have to record into an SD card. You can just hook it up with the USB C connector and hook it up to your computer and literally record straight to Anchor. You can add in some messages. So this is like voice messages to people that watch your or listen to your podcast. And then, you can do some transitions. You got sound effects and different things like that. But you can go in and literally just record straight to Anchor and then put in your different monetization things, and then you can save it. So once you save it, you can go in and change the graphics, change the title and all that stuff on your episode, and then you can choose to upload it after you get that done. So that's basically the way that you set up the podcast. It's not that big a deal to do that. If you want to add some sponsors, you can activate sponsorships, and then you can also as your podcast grows, you're going to get more people and more brands that's going to work with you. So they'll come in and you'll see some monetization options on here. And then, they have different ways. They kind of tell you how you can monetize that. So you can ask your listeners for support. You can have sponsorships through the episode. So that's this up here. You can also do some mid-roll ads. So if you have people or if you get your podcast where you have a bunch of listeners, you will be able to enable these mid-roll ads, which is going to be from other companies. We'll be able to put ads on your podcast. And also whenever you have a new sponsor in, they may want you to record a message for that ad. So Anchor, the first one that they give you, you have to record the ad for that. And then, you basically just read what it says, and then you put it as an ad spot on your audio. So that's basically the ins and outs of Anchor.fm.
All right, that is going to be it for today, guys. If you like these types of videos, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Also hit that bell icon so you can get notifications whenever I release new videos. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.